Om Sadashiva-samārambhām Shankaracārya-madhyamām Asmadacārya-paryantam Vande Guru-paramparam Gurur-brahma Gurur-vishnu Gurur-devo maheshwaraha Guru-sakshat param-brahma Tasmai Shri-gurave namaha. Om Sahana bhavato Sahano phunakto Sahaviryam karavavahi Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidyushavahī. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So as we have been discussing that I am Paramananda Swarupaha, but because of Avidya, the ignorance, I am not able to know myself. We have seen all the logics in previous classes in details. And because I do not know, that's why I think I am not that. And not only I think I do not have that, also I think I do not own it and I don't use it. Like the example of specs. If the specs is on the head, looking for specs, because I do not know that specs is on my head, now I think I don't have specs, nor I am able to use the specs. In fact, me being the owner of the specs, still I would like to be the owner of the specs. Also, traditional example has been given how these two can exist, knowledge and ignorance, that we discussed. Like we have knowledge in general but not in particular. As also we saw that, look, the common example was the light and darkness cannot exist together. How is it possible that knowledge and ignorance can exist? That's why the traditional example was being given. When you go to the Veda Pathasala, you start listening to your child who is doing Vedadhyanam, chanting. Then what you do, from a distance, you hear your child voice. Still you are not able to recognize, there is a doubt in you. And why that doubt? Because other people also, or other children also are chanting together. So that chanting together, the chorus voice becomes the obstacle. And that, because of those obstructions, now you are not able to recognize your own child voice. So also me being Paramananda Swarupaha, because of the obstacle, I am not able to understand and of course acknowledge me myself. We have discussed up to this clearly, carefully. Now the question comes, what is that obstacle in this case? As we said, it is called Avidya, ignorance. So if it is Avidya, ignorance, then how do you say this? How to explain? Is it like, no, people say, okay, what is Atma? Atma is a consciousness. What is consciousness? Awareness. What is awareness? Consciousness. You understand? So you keep changing, jumping from one word to another word. So do you mean here that this what you call as Avidya, ignorance? Will you please explain? Because very easiest way to escape is use Avidya and get out of it. Have you not noticed yourself? Like in English we have saying, when you cannot face anybody, say sorry. Or when you don't want to complicate situation, say sorry. This is what I do, okay? Second one. Conveniently, whenever I see things are complicated, my easiest way to handle situation is, I love to say sorry. Of course, when I say sorry, it has got many meanings, okay? But those meanings comes in later on, not immediately, okay? So I call as damage control, okay? So when I want to control the damage, best method is say sorry. So like that, in Vedanta, do you use this word ignorance? not to get into confrontation with others. So that tell ignorance and get out. Is it like that? Hey, no. That's why this text is very unique, as I hinted in the beginning itself. Because this text something highlights very carefully the concept of Maya and Avidya carefully. In fact, this text is very popular. That the concept of Maya, the way it's being highlighted in this text, nowhere you can find it. So now this is being taught. Let us now look at this point very carefully. We'll be seeing the definition of Maya in next verse. First, let us see. He tries to say here, to understand Avidya. So when he says Avidya, means the ignorance. So you need to understand its cause called Prakriti. Because only when you understand Prakriti with its effect, then only it becomes easier for you to understand what is Avidya, the ignorance. So keeping that in mind, verse number 15 starts talking. Let us chant. Chidanandamaya Brahma Pratibimba Samanvita Tamuraja Sattva Guna Prakutir Dividha Sacha Chidanandamaya Brahma Pratibimba Samanvita Tamuraja Sattva Guna Prakutir Dividha Sacha. Now comes a very nice way. Says that as we have seen that Chidananda Maya Brahma Pratibimba Samanvita. Now this ended with what? Pratibimba, the reflection. Reflection of what? Brahman. And what is that Brahman? Whose nature is Chit and Ananda, whose nature is, as we discussed, Chit and Ananda, of course we infer always bring Sat also. So that means whose nature is Sachidananda. Because that is what we do. When Chidananda comes, you have to bring the Sat also. Now says, that means when this thing there, and because of this Chidbhasa Pratibimba, we have discussed in details the reflection here. Now the one who is endowed with the reflection of Brahman, and of course whose nature is Chit Ananda, because of being reflection, now is composed of, this is the beautiful point, now it is composed of three gunas named Sattva, Raja and Tamas. Okay, we understand? Fantastic. Now he says, when this is composed of this Chidvasa, the reflection, now when it is composed of three gunas, Sattva, Raja and Tamas, is called Prakriti. Now further he says, that sa Prakriti, that Prakriti again divided into two. Okay, I understand, divided into two. But again he adds the very carefully the word, this is called, way of writing, cha. So cha means what? And. What is and? Don't worry, one more is there, okay? But he does not write here anything. The reason is very simple, the methodology of teaching. Because why to overload? At this context, at this moment, 2 is enough. Because he wants to derive at that Avidya and Maya. So what is Avidya and what is Maya is our main priority to discuss. Now why to bring that third aspect? That's why he just says cha, because which will be explained later on. In verse number 18 we'll be seeing, okay? So hold on that. So cha word means refer to next some more verse. Now when he says that it is divided into two. Now how can you say, how do you look at in this way? So we say beautifully, this is what we have to understand. Prakriti is nothing but called creative power in the inherent Brahman. That we have to see, okay? Then what happens? Also we know Prakriti is called as material cause too. But here is being highlighted that being material cause, Prakriti cannot create by itself, nor Brahman can create by itself. So the creation has to happen in the presence of Brahman by Prakriti. That we'll be seeing as the time comes, really situation comes, we'll see, okay? Now he says, if this is the case, now I would like to know that how do you divide this Prakriti into two categories? Already you gave the hint stating that there is something called Avidya, also there is something called Maya. So then how do you look at and how to approach both? Now the verse number 16, which is a very nice point, you can highlight this verse. So where the definition of Maya and Avidya is being explained clearly. In fact, these are the points which changes our way of thinking totally. Because if this aspect is not understood properly, I'll tell you, even if you are exposed to Vedanta for years, still there will be doubt, there will be lot of issues. And that is what happens. So coming to the point here, let us read. Sattvāśuddhiḥ maya vidye te mate maya bimbo vashikritya tam syāt sarvajña īśvara sattvaśuddhiḥ maya vidye te mate maya bimbo vashikritya tam syāt sarvajña īśvara. Now says beautifully, sattvaśuddhiḥ avishuddhibhyā. So that means this Prakriti is being divided in two categories based on the sattva guna. Again, the level of sattva guna means one is pure sattva, other one is impure sattva. So purity and impurity of sattva guna becomes the key factors of division of this Prakriti. Then he says that is what called Maya and Avidya. Chate, those two are called Prakriti when because of sattva guna, purity sattva guna and impurity sattva guna. This Prakriti is divided into two categories and that is called as Maya and Avidya. That is how it's known. We'll be seeing in details. And of course he says Maya bimba. So the one who is reflected in Maya. Now there what happens? Tam vasikritya. This is very carefully we have to look at. So that means the one who is reflected in Maya, īśvara here, okay? So īśvara here has control over Maya. We'll be seeing the concept of īśvara later will come, don't worry. Whereas, if you look at the other one who remains, definitely that when Avidya, you are under the Avidya, definitely you cannot look at or you do not know or you cannot handle it. We'll see in details that how is it possible. Says beautifully. Now let us look at how this sattvaśuddhiḥ and sattvavishuddhi, this happens, okay? Avisuddhi. Sattvaśuddhiḥ, asuddhi. How it happens, let us look at. Says beautifully, if you look at mainly that the purity of sattva, because as per the rule, sattva, raja, tama has to be there. Whereas this raja and tama very, very less. Whereas sattva is maybe 99.99. Okay? So that it denotes, because it's a very comparing situation, that's what we'll be seeing later on when it comes to the third category. Now that actually, in short you can say that when sattva guna is predominant and as much as possible, that is called as maya. So you can define this way. Prakriti is called maya when sattva guna predominates, and the same prakriti is called avidya when sattva guna does not predominate. So that means it's very clear, maya and avidya, they work entirely differently. Can you see this point? Even though both of them are the product of prakriti, in fact both of them are called prakriti, but both of them work entirely differently. And why? Because of their varying degrees. So that's why what happens when we see, especially in maya case, there will be very less stress, namesake, of this sattva, of rajas and tamo guna, because their effect is so insignificant. That's why the maya is called luminous. That means it not only gives you knowledge, also confers ananda, happiness. That's why the īśvara endowed with maya is embodiment of ananda and knowledge. That's why every god, every religion also they picked up. So behind the god person, they put one aura. You understand? So luminous. Because of maya. In fact, I was looking at very nicely that the definition of maya is very nice. I can share later on. Chidananda maya brahma pratibimba samanvita visuddha sattva pradhana prakritihi maya iti uchyate. Somebody has written somewhere. Okay. So that means what? Chidananda maya brahma. First thing we have to see, understand this point. That means the reflection of Brahman, of course, whose nature is Satchit Ananda, no doubt in it. Now he says what? Pratibimba samanvita is endowed with reflection. The Brahman, please understand, whose nature is Satchidananda. Now that reflection of the Brahman, then what happens? Now is endowed with Prakriti. And in that Prakriti, where, what is there? Visuddha sattva pradhana, predominance of sattva guna. You understand the concept? The Prakriti, which has the predominance of sattva guna and is being endowed with the reflection of Brahman, whose nature is Satchidananda, is called maya. This is a definition by somebody, very nice definition to understand. So that means what? We have to see this. If this is the case, Then what about avidya? How do you look at avidya? The ignorance. Avidya is a little different. It says, chidabhasa pratibimba yukta malina sattva pradhana. There is called visuddha sattva pradhana. Here is malina sattva pradhana. Rajas tamo mishrita. There is no rajas tamo. Rajas tamo mishrita. Prakriti avidya uchyate. In maya case, very insignificantly sattva raja will be there. They say raja and tamas will be there. Very insignificantly. So that means it's not visible. Whereas in the case of avidya, same prakriti, sattva is there, mixed with rajas and tamas. Of course, they are predominant. So that means when this rajas and tamas becomes predominant, sattva becomes impure. Can you see this logic? And because of this impure sattva, and of course endowed with the same chidvasa, whatever is there, is called here avidya. That's why we say īśvara is called mayādhara. Another name of īśvara is called mayādhara. Mayādhara means the one who has control over maya. Means maya dances according to whose tune. In the sense, the person is aware of it. There is knowledge. Whereas jīva always under the influence of avidya, ignorance. And why it is being influenced? Because of the predominance of raja and tama. That's why, to just divert a little bit from the topic here, I can come to our day-to-day life. Like, when your day-to-day life is more predominant with tamas, more you get carried away. We'll be seeing later on what is tamas, okay? I'm not going to leave it, okay? We'll see that aspect. Very nice text this. The moment you discover that your mind is more attached to tamas, in short, matter, material things, the more your mind is carried away. That's why you will discover when your mind is more towards sattva guna, not only there is illumination in you, there is light, there is spark in you. Also along with the spark, the clarity, you are a happy person. Can you see this point? So the happiness and unhappiness is completely related to your sattva guna and tamo guna. So if you want to be a happy person, this is not diversion. You don't have any other choice other than developing and abiding with sattva guna. And this abiding with sattva guna needs, the main factor is called your attitude and of course understanding. Without attitude and understanding, remember, one cannot develop sattva guna either. Because sattva guna is not related to any object, not related to a person or situation. Like if we say going to the temple is called sattva guna, the priest who is there or the person who is selling the flowers, they are not endowed with this sattva guna. Of course they are a little better, don't worry. Because their attitude is entirely different, and especially the security fellow. Like in Tirupati, Jargandi, you don't understand? So he has kept a tape recorder. Keep moving, ruthlessly, okay? So what I am highlighting here is, there the attitude, not the place. In fact, you go once in a while to the temple, you imbibe certain qualities. Whereas the person who is in the temple 24/7, he never imbibes any temple. In fact, he becomes more and more gross. Have you not observed this? So here, the sattva guna is completely connected to your attitude and understanding. As we discussed, maya is nothing. Because of maya, there is illuminous, there is knowledge and happiness. However, let's come back here. So that means, if we discover, when we discussed about this maya bimba, so maya bimba means here that the pure awareness that is reflected in maya, what we have called as chidbhasa. Okay, pure chit, the chit which is called pure awareness, we can say, reflected in maya. Don't ask me what is maya now, okay? So I can conveniently use the word maya. Okay, this is main verse, okay? Please, you have to remember this. After 10 years, you should not comment as Swamiji, I understand everything, but not the word maya. So I have to tell, please refer Panchadasi verse number 16 or 11 for 2021 class. So please make it very clear. Now, also we need to see, now if we look at, now this chid means this pure awareness, now is conditioned by maya. Now because of that reason, chidbhasa, it becomes chidbhasa. That's why, because of this, now this chidbhasa has mastery over. So when there is mastery over maya, is called īśvara. Whenever there is mastery over maya here directly, is called īśvara. That's why you can see that īśvaratvam, we use the word status of being īśvara, lordship comes when you have control over yourself. Have you not observed? The more you have control over yourself, the more you have lordship in you. Whereas if you don't have control over yourself, you lose your lordship. So that's why you can see for yourself, when you are able to see your way of thinking, you are not carried away with your thinking. You are not under the spell of your thinking. In fact, you know how to go about it in any critical situation, that too. Well, that is the key, because when everything is smooth, you understand? That is not the point. Point is when you go through critical situation, that is the test case for your knowledge and integrity. Because if everything is smooth, everything is good, really it makes no difference. We say beautifully, if a child is being asked to talk on speaking truth, the child, or give a speech on speaking truth, child will say, tell beautiful discourse, a very inspiring discourse. But when it comes how to manipulate parents to get one chocolate, to get some ice cream, you know better. However, coming back to the point, now the whole concept here is how to make my mind to listen to me. This is the whole process. That's why this Avidya concept is being talked in details. We are bringing Maya only because of that reason. So at any given time, I must not lose sight of my thinking faculty. Okay, let us read the verse. Avidya vasagasthunya sattvaśuddhiḥ kāraṇa shariram syāt prajñastatrābhimanavāt. Avidya vasagasthunya sattvaśuddhiḥ kāraṇa shariram syāt prajñastatrābhimanavāt. Now, he says beautifully, if this is through the conditioning of Maya plays the role of īśvara, and of course later on is called as sarvajñah. Sarvajña means the knower of everything, the one who knows everything. And of course sarvavyapi, omniscient, omnipresent, that all these things. Then what about Avidya? So what happens to Avidya? So this verse highlights. Now what you need to do? Tu means on the other hand. Avidya vasagaha. So when he talks about Avidya vasagaha, this Maya and Avidya creates a big difference. Now because of the Maya, now īśvara, and of course because of the Avidya, there is a jīva. So that means īśvara is connected to Maya, jīva is connected to Avidya. So the more you work to improve your sattva guna, more you are becoming īśvara. Can you see this point? So this is all about it. So now he says Avidya vasagaha. So that means there the Chidvasa was controlling the reflection of Brahman, was controlling Maya. Whereas here Avidya controls. So that's why he says Avidya vasagaha, the one who is the control, under the control of Avidya. Maya is being controlled, whereas Avidya controls. Or you can say īśvara controls, jīva is being controlled. Anyway, you can take it. Now while discussing this thing, says what? Like, then what happens? Why it happens? Because of tad vaichitriyat. Due to this Avidyas, that differentiates, barriers. Because each time this Avidya can differ, the degree. Sometimes that what you call sattva guna can be 60%, rajya can be 30, 10% can be tama guna. So as it can differ in any way, every way, you have got innumerable. In fact, this is what I was thinking. When you have this number lock, so if you have got a 3-digit number lock, you have got how many variations? Come on, 3-digit, 999, huh? That is how supposed to be, okay? It should be 1000. It's not 999. It's wrong. 0, 0, 0, you have not counted, okay? This is the basic question. So if you have got 3 digit, you have got 1000 variations. Because 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, then goes, okay? Then ends with 999. So that is how I said 1000. Suppose if you have got 4 digit variations, same thing, it increases. Now at least here you can predict because digits are available. Here you cannot predict in Avidya case. Can you see this point? What would be the sattva, what would be the rajas, and what would be the tamas? It's almost impossible to find out. Only your sincerity can make it, reducing tamas and rajas. That's why whole effort is nothing. To work with myself, to make sure that my tamas and rajas is reducing. If any time my rajas or tamas is taking over, I have to tell myself, at least I have to tell myself. However, that is what is being highlighted. Because of anekadha, so because of this tad vaichitriyat. So tad vaichitriyat means because of its variations. Now, anekadha bhavati, different, it becomes different, it becomes many. Now that avidya, in short, here is called sa avidya karana sariram syāt. So that avidya is called karana sarira, causal body. So that's why we are endowed with, or our birthright, birth capital is what? Ignorance, avidya. Because of karana sarira we are born, that we have seen in many texts. So that's what is being highlighted. Avidya becomes karana sariram. So when avidya becomes karana sariram, that means our birthright and capital is what? Avidya, ignorance. So no problem, be comfortable, okay? But you should not, that's what we say. We all are born as an ignorant. That is how supposed to be. But we must not die as an ignorant person. But the problem is, we do not die as an ignorant person, but we die as an arrogant person. You understand? Ignorance, arrogance, then finally, when arrogance does not work, helplessness. So that's why in life you regret when your arrogance is not being addressed or fulfilled. See this point very carefully. You regret that time when your arrogance is not being addressed, means not accepted by others, that is called addressed, or not fulfilled. So that's why wherever there is arrogance has to bring the sense of regret in me. Have you not observed this point in life? Any time. That's why here is being highlighted that avidya being the causal body. Now what I need to do? I need to see that my ignorance and go ahead, improve it. That's why he says, prajna tatra abhimanava. Next one says, prajna means the one who is abhimanava, means the one who is identified with this causal body is called prajna, which we have seen in Tattva Bodha in details. That means when the jīva identifies, or I would rather say instead of jīva, sorry, when this chidbhasa, the reflection of Brahman, identifies with this causal body, is called as prajna. Okay? Now, if this is the case, now the question may arise, okay, I understand, but very conveniently you say, īśvara is one. That is how many religions highlights one God. But we say only God. There is big difference, okay? Because we don't believe in one God. Why we say only God? This is what we will see here. Okay, however, but you say īśvara is one. Okay, you have many gods. Very conveniently you can say in Hinduism many gods. But whereas jivas are innumerable. In fact, we say God, whatever demigods, they are also jīva. Highly exalted jivas. Including Indra, because you also can become Indra. If you do lot of penance, that is how person takes over the Indra pada. So it is after all a post, like how you select or not select. How a person becomes Prime Minister or President of a country. Nobody selects, okay, don't worry. Just it happens, okay. How it happens, don't ask. This is prarabdha. Apart from that, so you may ask the question, īśvara is one, but how come the jivas are many? Innumerable. So to answer that, we come to this point. Because of pure sattva, you understand? Now pure sattva is only one. That's why one īśvara. Suppose the sattva, there is a little bit variation, they come under jīva. That's why we have many demigods. You understand? All these Ashtadigpala, all our, Kshetrapala devatas. When especially rituals are being done, what we do? We also once in a while we give ahuti for the ghee for the local deities. To take care of them, okay? Because after all they are more important, okay? Please understand. They have to take care of me. So what I am highlighting here is that because of variation of this avidya, the mixture of this sattva, raja, tama, that's why any number of jivas can be created. That's why many people ask this question. Oh, Swamiji, will you please tell me what would be the last number of the human beings in this earth? Some question comes, okay? One person asks, what would be? I said, what is your problem? No, it is drowning, everything is out. Do you think that only when human beings are increased, all animals are dying, so they are born? I said, who told all these things? Yeah, there should be balance, nah? You understand? So we have to kill all the human beings, animal to grow. Yeah, possible, you can do, but don't ask me, okay? It's not like that, okay? It has nothing to do with the human beings or animals, jivas. It can happen any number of. Little bit variation here and there. It can create another jiva. Can you see this point? That's why we give another example. From the fire, how many sparks can come out? Limitless or innumerable, that is better, uncountable. So also jiva can be uncountable. That's why there is variation, gradation in jivas. And that gradation is not because of anything, because of level of tamas, rajas and sattva. So more I have sattva, the better jiva I become. That's why we take care of every aspect of our life to make sure that my sattva guna is being maintained. Because if sattva guna is not being maintained, definitely I will fluctuate. The growth will not be there. That's why while talking this thing, now let's look at the next verse. Now the question may arise here, okay, all these things is fantastic, but I would like to know, you talked that in the beginning, this Prakriti is divided into two. So where Sattva Pradhan, predominantly Sattva, that is called Maya. Then where Sattva is not predominant, secondary, that is called Avidya. These two you divided fantastically. So Maya and Avidya in short. Now you said cha and further the third one. What is that third one? So third one is here is called as the Karana Sarira. So what is that? Let us first read so that it becomes easier, okay? Tama pradhana prakutehe tad bhogayesvara agyaya vyat pavana tejombu bhuvo bhutani jagire. Tama pradhana prakutehe tad bhogayesvara agyaya vyat pavana tejombu bhuvo bhutani jagire. This is beautiful. That we all have Karana Sarira. We have already discussed. The same Avidya also is the Karana Sarira, causal body. Now this Karana Sarira becomes the cause of both gross and subtle body that we have seen in details. Now here is also we discussed that when the jīva associated with, or chidvasa, I would rather say chidvasa associated with Karana Sarira is called prajna. Now here we say beautifully, where only we discussed that mainly Sattva and Raja played a big role, Tama was very less. Whereas the third division is where Tama Guna Pradhana Prakriti. So in short, Sattva Guna Pradhana Maya, in fact pure Sattva, not Sattva Guna Pradhana. Then Malina Sattva, don't say Raja Pradhan, okay? It's wrong. So Malina Sattva, impure Sattva is called Avidya. Then third one is called Tama Pradhana Prakriti becomes third, where tamas becomes predominant. Because if we see this point, this Tama Pradhana Prakriti becomes upadhi of jīva. How? Because when tamas only becomes predominant, then only these 5 elements, this panchikaranam, classification, starting with Sukshma Tanmatras, so subtle elements and gross elements are being created. And why it is being created? This is what is being highlighted. That Tama Pradhana Prakriti Tad Bhogaya īśvara Agyaya. So īśvara Agyaya, this is the point. This is what the religious people have taken from this sort of concept. So with the command, how it is command? It's not command. Because of the command of īśvara, the God, so he was created one day after another, okay? Or Vishnu, while sleeping, commanded, so that's why others started building it, okay? And he slept nicely. Until now he is sleeping, okay? Or Shiva, in Shiva Purana, being in Kailasa, number creation. We can take all aspects, don't worry, okay? And of course, Maya now, Chaitra Navaratri already started. Some other aspect, of course, without mother, who is Shiva, who is anybody, okay? Without her, nothing moves. However, here is not Agya order with the knowledge of īśvara, because where Maya is there. And what is that Maya? We discussed pure Sattva, where completely under the control. So that's why the knowledge aspect comes from their knowledge and happiness. So that's why where there is knowledge and happiness, remember, whenever you have knowledge and happiness, there only you can command. A God cannot be miserable, okay? Being miserable, you cannot become a God. At least be happy, smile. That's why God, all the gods in Hinduism especially, portrayed as smiling fellows, even if they don't smile, okay? Except Brahma, always serious. And Indra, always tensed. But once in a while he enjoys, okay? At least. Not once in a while, all the time, okay? Whenever he is enjoys, only mess comes, okay? All the Asuras will attack when he is enjoying. That's another point. Anyway, joke apart. Now, because of the knowledge of īśvara, Ichha Shakti, now the Kriya Shakti, because of Ichha Shakti and Jnana Shakti, now Kriya Shakti in the form of Kriya. Now, these 5 elements, who are they? Vyat, Pavana, Teja, Ambu, Bhuva. Space, air, fire, water and earth are born. And of course, from that part of Prakriti, where, what is there? Tama Pradhana, where tamas is predominant. Okay, I understand. But what for all these things? I understand everything. Beautiful point. Tad bhogaya iti. When he said tad bhogaya, that means in order to experience the jīva, the prajna, to go through the experience needs some means. So experience, why we use dukkham and sukham, both called experience, okay? The pain and pleasure. So in order to go through the pain and pleasure, the prajna, this creation is being made. That's why this creation job is to provide you experience. So as long as you are in this creation, you don't have any other choice other than going through experiences. But whether those experiences are enhancing you, improving you, or pulling you down, of course that depends upon your knowledge. So in short, 3 aspects of Prakriti. The first aspect goes to Maya, where Sattva is predominant. Second one is called Marina Sattva, impure Sattva, called Avidya. Third one is called Tamapradhana. Tamas is predominant, because of which the creation comes. For what? The Avidya jīva to go through the experience. Can you see this point? The Avidya jīva, the jīva that is influenced by Avidya, in order to go through the experiences, needs objects, needs creation, means. So in short, this is called Prakriti. We'll see more of it, how this sense organ. Please close your eyes. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnahat Purnamadachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.